Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to do a real quick video on the type of knots that I fish. I only use 3 knots in bass fishing, and a lot of people scoff at at least one of the options I have, the leader to mainline braid connection that I use. A lot of people don't think it's the perfect knot for doing that task, but I disagree. I have many reasons why I like to keep things simple, and that's what it's all about for me. Is I want strong and easy to tie knots. And so a lot of people really go to great lengths to learn how to tie these very complicated knots that maybe create a smaller profile knot once it's tied. But for me, it's all about, can I tie it when my hands are shaking, when I either lose a big fish or catch a big fish, or when my hands are frozen solid. I still want to be able to tie the perfect knot consistently like that every single time, because when I'm under pressure, I know that those complex knots are just going to waste a bunch of time. So anyways, let's go ahead and dive right into it. I don't want this video to be super long, but the 3 knots that I like to use for all my bass fishing applications, whether I'm fishing with braid or fishing with monofilament or fluorocarbon, are the San Diego jam knot, the Palomar knot, and the uni to uni knot. Those are the only knots that I've ever needed in bass fishing, and I'm going to get into each one of them. So the first one is the San Diego jam knot, and this isn't going to be the best tutorial on how to tie these knots. I'm going to try to do some specific videos on tying knots, and you can look them up on YouTube. Each of these knots has a bunch of different perfect tutorials where you can see it really nice. I want to do something with a black background so you guys can see it a lot better. I tried to get some old chameleon line that we had in here that, it shows up pretty decent because it's like this dark root beer red, but it's not really going to show you very well on here. But you can find it online, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I just want to talk about the why. All right, so the San Diego jam knot, the one thing, early on in my college days when I started to transition a lot of my fishing line over to fluorocarbon, the Palomar knot was what I was used to with monofilament and braid. And it worked great. It had a super high strength, and you just didn't break that knot. That knot did not fail. That's why I still use it for monofilament and braid today. But I needed a knot that was less, it had less ability to tighten on itself and compromise itself with fluorocarbon. So fluorocarbon didn't work as well with the Palomar knot. Now, it still is a super high performer. I know a lot of guys that use a Palomar knot for tying their, directly to a hook or the lure with fluorocarbon using that Palomar knot. But for me, the San Diego jam knot, which is essentially like this, you pass it through once. We'll try to do a real quick tutorial. So you got the main line on this side and the tag end on this side, and essentially you just bring it up here. Okay, both lines into your index finger on the main line side, and then I pull it down and you wrap it around it 6 times, 6, 7 times, something like that. Pretend that's 6 or 7 times, and then you bring that tag end through that loop that's created on the bottom. Okay, and then you bring it up to the loop that's created at the top where your finger's at, holding those 2 lines, and then you tighten those up, wet it and tighten it up. Okay, super easy knot to tie. Under pressure, I can tie this in just seconds. Super easy. There's nothing to it to tie this thing on any occasion. So that is the San Diego jam knot, and that is the solution for most of my direct connections to lures and hooks with fluorocarbon. I just really trust that knot. I think KVD was the one that I saw this this knot used first back in the early 2000s, and really love to use it. Okay. Now, the only caveat to using fluorocarbon, and when I'm not using like the San Diego jam knot, but I am using fluorocarbon, is with the Palomar knot and a drop shot. If I'm fishing a drop shot like this right here, I use a Palomar because it sets that hook just right. You know, if I pass the tag end through that loop again on the top side of the hook, if that makes any sense, it orients that hook so it's always pointing straight up, the hook point. That's the only situation that I still use a Palomar for fluorocarbon line. All right, so let's talk about the Palomar. The Palomar is probably the best rated knot of all time for a direct lure connection for monofilament and braid. Just a absolute beast of a knot. It's essentially, this is the one that my dad taught me when I was young. So this is the one that I learned early on. So you pass it through once, the eye of the hook, okay, and then you pull some slack through, and then you pass it through again. And from here, so you got this loop on this side, and then you got the tag end of the main line on this side. You're going to do an overhand knot using both of those. Okay, you're going to bring that loop through to make an overhand. And then from there, you're going to go ahead and pass that loop over the bait or the hook. Okay, so you got it like this, and this is where you want it to lay up perfect. Wet it again, and then you tighten that down. Okay, and that will tighten down perfectly, and it works great for monofilament and braid. With braid, I'll add a second. So when I'm doing the overhand knot, I'll pass that loop through that circle twice. Okay, well, let me show you guys just to make sure we got it on this video. So we passed the line through once. Now we're going to go back. Okay, tag end and main line on this side, loop on this side. We're going to do the loop-de-loop to create the overhand knot. We're going to bring it through once, like I showed you before, but we're going to bring that loop through a second time. Okay, and that is what I like to use with braid. Okay, that really locks it in there. You know, I haven't had any problems with a single Palomar, but I'm definitely don't have any problems with braid with a double. But I don't like to use a double with monofilament. I think that you just need that little extra insurance with braid because it doesn't stretch and it can, you know, pull through. So I wouldn't recommend it with anything but braid. So Palomar is what I use for monofilament, direct lure and hook connections, and braid direct hook and lure connections. All right. And then finally, we have the uni to uni knot. This is where a lot of people disagree. You know, a lot of great tournament anglers, great anglers in general, they want the smallest knot possible, so you're not having you know, a big knot passing through your guides on spinning gear more specifically, you know, but also for bait casting gear too. This is the knot that I use for all of my spinning outfits where I'm using a braided main line like this PEX8 braid with a fluorocarbon leader. And the reason why I like the uni to uni is it is super simple. It's super easy to tie. I can tie it with my eyes closed. It's an amazingly strong knot, but it is not the thinnest. I will admit that, but it doesn't matter to me. I've tried, you know, learning how to tie the FG knot, and I can't do it fast enough, and I can't do it with 100% confidence that that knot's going to hold. It seems like every third knot, and this is a problem for me, every third knot that I tie with like an FG knot, which is kind of the gold standard for a lot of finesse fishermen, you know, it ends up coming free. So I'm not confident in the FG knot for me. So I just stick with what I know. And I have very limited situations where I get frustrated with having a bigger, slightly bigger knot. So the uni to uni knot essentially is, we've got two different, just assume that these are two different pieces of line. One's the braid, one's the monofilament. What we're going to do is we're going to take the tag ends, meet them together parallel like this, and then on each side we're going to take one tag end, okay, tag end here, nothing there, oh sorry, this side, and we're going to create a loop against the other line, and we're going to bring that tag end through that loop 6 times. 4, 5, 6, okay, so you got that, and we're going to tighten that up. Normally you'd wet it, all right? So then you take the other side and you do the same exact thing. Both the monofilament and fluorocarbon, or monofilament or fluorocarbon and the braid, you go ahead, do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And once you get your you know where your fingers are supposed to be, and you know how to hold everything together, man, this is like the easiest knot, line to leader connection you can make. And it is super, super strong. It just does not let you down. You do need to retie it occasionally, because being a larger knot, you need to make sure that as it passes through that guide constantly, it doesn't, wear out. But I'm telling you, dude, that is a strong, strong knot that just is not going to let you down. So the uni to uni knot, there's nothing to stick your nose up at. It is a absolute killer, knot, and it's something that I feel confident in tying under all conditions. Shaky hands, cold hands, just lost a giant. It doesn't matter. I can tie it perfect every single time. So anyways, guys, just wanted to go ahead and share with you my 3 knots that I like to use. Again, if this video wasn't easy for you to see how to tie them, go check out a video. I know I've probably done videos before on how to tie these knots, and I'll try to do a really, really good one with good contrast, maybe bigger, cable or something like that for it. But if you're confident in a knot, don't let anybody tell you that you need to be trying a different knot. Try different knots, like I've tried the FG knot, but if it doesn't work for you and you can't do it under pressure and you're not confident in your ability to create a solid knot every single time, stick with what you know and what you're confident in. That's where I always, think the best route is for anything like this. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know about your favorite knots in the description below. And other than that, I'm going to see you out on the water. Make sure you trust the process.